Okay, so here we go with my review of the Singapore Grand Prix. I'm going to try and keep this one brief. Those of you that have seen a couple of these that I do, you'll see that I just focus on the glitches in the matrix, the things which aren't congruent with the things that we have heard in the past. Okay, things that I hear during that race where the commentators lie, where in the past they've described things as being one way, and then I'm hearing them being described a totally different way. And what I do when I'm listening to the commentary, I then rewind it and record it, and then I'm going to expose it. Now, I'm only going to go through a very short amount in this video, but this is the pre-race build-up, just before the race on the warm-up lap, and just expose to you the amount of bullshit just within that period of time. Okay. So I'm going to firstly go to the video that I took of the audio, and let's have a play of it through. Here we go.
On his way to the grid alongside Pierre Gasly for his lowest ever start in Singapore.
Now, that background music might cause this video to be demonetized because the copyright owner of that soundtrack might say, "Oh, I want the money from your video." So
ahead of these, Esteban Ocon is 15th, third time he started there in the last 4 races. Is this Daniel Ricciardo's last race? If it is, he starts 16th.
Tragic. Daniel Ricciardo, at least he got the fastest lap though. Good on you, Daniel. You in the B team, you took it away from the rivals of Red Bull, the A team. Yeah, that's allowed in this sport.
Kevin Magnussen is back after a race ban, starts 14th.
Yeah, a race ban for accumulating points on your licence for infringements. Who commits the most infringements but doesn't get the points?
Alongside Sergio Perez, 13th here on the grid for the 2nd year running. The two Williams drivers separated by just 7 one-thousandths of a second. Colapinto and Albon sharing row 6. Sharing row 5, Carlos Sainz, who crashed in qualifying, and Charles Leclerc, who had his time deleted for exceeding track limit.
So, we are going through the list of drivers. He's telling us who is qualified where. You know, it's quite normal, isn't it? Pay attention to what he says about each driver.
Then it's Fernando Alonso, 7th on the grid, and alongside him, Yuki Tsunoda, who's never finished a Grand Prix in Singapore. Nico Hülkenberg has a 6th place start, 2nd year in a row a Haas driver has been 6th. Oscar Piastri starts 5th, and then it's all Mercedes on row 2.
Okay, so all pretty similar. You can rewind this and just listen to the descriptions again if you need to, because the big one's coming up.
Lewis Hamilton alongside George Russell. Last time they were in the top 4, both of them. They went on to win. Max Verstappen starts 2nd. Brilliant lap from him.
A brilliant lap from Max. You know, not the best lap. 20 people set a lap, and it wasn't the best lap. The best lap was the pole position sitter. But it was a brilliant lap from Max. Let's just play that through again.
And Albon sharing row 6. Sharing row 5, Carlos Sainz, who crashed in qualifying, and Charles Leclerc, who had his time deleted for exceeding track limits. Then it's Fernando Alonso, 7th on the grid, and alongside him, Yuki Tsunoda, who's never finished a Grand Prix in Singapore. Nico Hülkenberg has a 6th place start, 2nd year in a row a Haas driver has been 6th. Oscar Piastri starts 5th, and then it's all Mercedes on row 2. Lewis Hamilton alongside George Russell.
And then we get to the first row of the grid.
Last time they were in the top 4, both of them. They went on to win. Max Verstappen starts 2nd. Brilliant lap from him in qualifying. But it's Lando Norris on pole, the first McLaren pole here in Singapore since 2012. He's the last driver in the last 9 races, Martin Brundle, to win from pole. Can he do it tonight?
Yeah, but it's a brilliant lap from Max, though, wasn't it? Brilliant lap from Max. Thanks for that, lads.
We'll find out shortly. It's good. It's a whole one. This is the one.
Brilliant lap from Max. Did you get that? It was a brilliant lap from Max, everybody. Just in case you didn't realise it was a brilliant lap from Max.
They trained for, that they do all the work over the winter and through the season.
Brundle to win from pole. Can he do it tonight?
Is this the one they... Tell us about this, Martin. Tell us about this specific Grand Prix.
We'll find out shortly. It's good. It's a whole one. This is the one they trained for.
This Grand Prix is the Grand Prix of the season that they trained for, apparently.
That they do all the work over the winter and through the season.
They do all of the work over the winter for this one. You know, why is that, Martin?
because it's tough. I mean, and let's be honest, if you transported animals with no space and in these temperatures, you'd be rightly arrested, actually. But these are athletes, they're pure athletes. Adrenaline gets them through, and their fitness. It'll be a tough night of driving and of sport for them.
Ah, great description that is, Martin. This is the one that they train for. What are we in now? September. But they train for this one over the winter. It's like, yesterday I did a high intensity workout. I went for a run on the treadmill in the sauna, to replicate the conditions that these drivers are going to be experiencing in Singapore. And it was a bit of a struggle, I've got to be honest. I thought that jog that I went for back in January would have sorted me out for it. I'd have been fine because of that, because that's the one I trained for back in January. But no, I nearly collapsed and died. But this is what it's all about, isn't it, Martin? This is the one we train for over the winter.
Tyres are up, and the outlier in the top 13, who all start on medium compound tyres, apart from Lewis Hamilton in.
The outlier in the top 13, that's Lewis. Okay, let's just keep going with it.
Driving and of sport for them. The tyres are up, and the outlier in the top 13, who all start on medium compound tyres, apart from Lewis Hamilton in.
So everyone in the top 13 starts on the medium compound tyre. Wow, what would you know? What would you know? Maybe somebody's just qualified low down. Maybe they've had to get a grid penalty, and therefore they're in a position where it's worth taking a gamble, isn't it? But if you're near the front of the grid, you go on a strategy which is going to give you the greatest chance of success without having to rely on the random effect of an external factor, wouldn't you? Perhaps, or maybe you adjust your strategy based on the speculation of what you think might happen. In a game of football, for example, if you're playing the team which is the lowest ranked team in the Fair Play League because they get the most number of yellow and red cards per game, then it'd be a great strategy, wouldn't it, to set your team up to play that team, assuming that they're going to get 2 players sent off. They're going to go down to 9 men, so it would be in your benefit to just pick attackers in your team. Don't bother with defenders, because at some point in that game, the other team's going to be down to 9 men, because looking at the data, 2 of their players might get sent off. So let's not bother with the defence in this game. Let's just go with a field of attackers, shall we? That would be the great strategy call, wouldn't it? No.
Third, on soft compound tyres, Mercedes have split their strategy between Hamilton and Russell. And with those tyres, Hamilton could be.
Yeah, the split of going one on the mediums and one on the hards so that they can go longer. Oh yeah, that seems like a feasible split, wasn't it? Using the 2 compounds of tyres that will get you that race distance on a one-stop strategy, while still be able to push relatively hard on either compound of tyre and not have to do too much tyre conserving. Yeah, that would be a great way of splitting the track strategy. Or shall we split the strategy by putting one car onto the soft compound of tyre, which is going to wear out quickly, especially when you've got a full fuel load? Not seeing the logic there.
A real menace to the likes of Verstappen down into turn 1, because the soft tyre, albeit a used soft tyre, might give him a little bit more purchase off the start line.
Yeah, he's going to be a real menace down to Max Verstappen going down to that first corner. We'll talk about that in a minute when Brundle tells us more. Because the used soft tyre especially is going to give him more purchase than a new soft tyre going down to that. That's a bit counterintuitive, isn't it? It's always the used tyres that give you more grip than the new tyres, do they? Okay, all right. I'll buy part ones in future then, because they'll be more grippy than a brand new tyre. Nobody bother buying brand new tyres. Martin Brundle reckons part worn tyres are better than buying brand new tyres. Okay, all the tyre manufacturers in the world don't bother making brand new tyres, just make part worn ones because they're better for grip. Anyway, let's carry on.
Time will tell. And then we're in for partly a game of chess and partly a boxing match.
We're in for a game of chess and a boxing match. Now this is the time where I'm going to come out of this video and go on to the internet and not that tab, not that tab, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that. Which one is it? Which one is it? It was up here because I've loaded it. You see, I do all my preparation in advance. Now, did you tune in to the Singapore Grand Prix because you wanted to watch a boxing match? Did you tune in to the Singapore Grand Prix because you were interested in spectating on a game of chess? Now, playing a game of chess is can be quite enjoyable, but watching a game of chess, you're not really going to get people to spend £20 a month on a TV subscription to Sky Sports Chess. You might get one or two people, okay, but generally Sky Sports Chess is probably not going to achieve commercial success. I might be wrong on this, okay? Let me know what you think in the comments section. But personally, I tuned into the Singapore Grand Prix not for a partial game of boxing match, not for a game of chess. I tuned in for this purpose.
Rival to another. Go ahead, Toto.
You need to reinstate the lap before. That's not right.
Toto?
Yes.
It's called a motor race, okay?
Sorry?
We went to car racing.
So that's what I was tuning in for us to go car racing, a motor race, not a game of chess, and not a boxing match. But each to their own. Let's carry on.
I'd imagine, especially towards the end, and they'll be desperately trying to.
Oh, we're going to watch a motor race at the start, okay? But towards the end, it's going to turn into a game of chess or a boxing match. But everybody wants to see a racing finish, Martin. Nobody wants to see a game of chess or a boxing match at the end. Okay, we want to see a racing finish. So you're getting this all the wrong way around.
Control the pace, control the gaps, and then pull the pin and go.
Control the pace, control the gaps, maintaining that 12-second lead because, you're in the lead of a race and it's just controlling that. Oh, let's get rid of that and let's see a shootout against a car on 44-lap-old hard tyres and one on fresh soft tyres. I wonder what might happen there. Is that a boxing match, is that, Martin? Is that a boxing match? Is that a boxing match where you basically nobbled one of the boxers and let the other one just take some free hits at him? Is that the kind of boxing match you want to watch, Martin? Or is that a game of chess? Is that a game of chess where you've wiped all of the other person's pieces off the board and just left the king just standing there on his own? Is that what you've done? Is that the kind of chess games that you like to see, Martin? Let me know what you think in the comments section there, Martin.
And build themselves a pit stop all the time, waiting and wondering when that sort of inevitable safety car will be. We'll find
the inevitable safety car. Yes, because that came, didn't it?
out.
It always has been inevitable here. We've never had a Singapore Grand Prix without at least one appearance.
I remember the one back in 2008. Fernando Alonso still got the trophy.
From the safety car, we've had 11 deployments in the last 6 races here, and you just briefly saw a shot of the grid. There, look, Lando Norris with Max Verstappen 8 metres behind him. Verstappen has that inside line going into turn 1. His final practice start.
So, Max Verstappen is 8 metres behind the pole sitter. Lewis Hamilton will be 8 metres behind Max Verstappen. How far is that run down to that first corner? We'll find out shortly. And what extra grip do you need to get the jump on a car that's that far ahead and that is going to be challenging you at that first corner? I wonder. Well, you need to be at least 16 metres just to be alongside. That's to be the leader, at least 8 metres to be alongside the second place player.
Before he got to the grid, was not exactly slick. Lando
Sorry, I said player there. I was thinking chess again, wasn't I? I was thinking chess, sorry.
Norris has had problems with his starts. You don't often win a race at the start, but there's a feeling tonight, Martin, that either of these two could well do that.
You don't often win a race at the start, but there's a feeling that tonight that might be the case. You don't often win a race at the start. Well, you see, this is a different narrative, isn't it? There's a bit more to come on that bit.
The problem that they have on the inside, on their left, as it were, is you're really quite tight into the first corner. Whereas on the right-hand side of the grid, from where they're looking, they can sweep in. But of course, if they run wide in turn 2, they're obliged to head off completely away from the track, go around a polystyrene board with an arrow on it.
What's going on here, Martin? I need to get my head around what you're saying here, Martin. You're saying that what's going on, turn 1 and turn 2?
But of course, if they run wide in turn 2, they're obliged to head off completely away from the track, go around a polystyrene board with an arrow on it, and rejoin on the outside of turn 3. So it's a high penalty if you get too ambitious on the brakes down into the first corner.
So it's a high penalty if you get too ambitious on the brakes in the first corner. Now, have I prepared anything earlier about this? Let's have a look what I prepared earlier. Was it this one? Yes, it was this one. What's going on here? The aerial view of the start. What's going on here, Martin? What's Martin talking about?
And look at Hamilton, has the better start of the top 3. Is not
Hamilton has the better start of the top 3, but it's not good enough because this run down from the grid to the first corner is not far enough.
enough, but he tries to go racing with Verstappen
What's going on with these cars here that are going off the track?
momentarily on the
Oh, you've gone off the track. What have you got to do?
outside, cannot make it through.
These two here, this one here, also went off the track. What are they doing?
Russell and Piastri were very, very close as well, which...
Oh, that's what Martin was talking about. Okay, so if you get it slightly wrong at that first corner of turns 1 and 2, then you've got to pay the penalty of going around that bollard, going around that kind of orangey yellow strip and rejoining the track in the correct manner. And if you don't do that, then you're going to get penalised. You're going to get a 5-second penalty at least, and that's a heavy price to pay in a race. And nobody wants to have to pay that kind of penalty. Now, is there any more videos that I made that could maybe give us a little bit more information relating to that? Let's have a look. One I prepared earlier. Here's one I made earlier. What's going on now? 2021 French Grand Prix, lap 2 of 53. Let's have a look what is happening.
Where just stays ahead of the wily old
Oh, what's going on with the orange car?
campaigner as Daniel Ricciardo does go off at turn 1, does go onto the escape road. Lando Norris, sorry.
There we go. He does go off at turn 1 and he complies with the race director's notes, which I will now show you. You see, you couldn't make it up, could you? Because you yourself can do this. You can go onto the FIA website where they are united against online abuse. You can go onto the season documents from the 2021 season, the French Grand Prix, and you can have a look at all the FIA official documents, their own documents, and you can scroll down the documents from that event, and you can go on to Race Director Event Notes version 3, and when you click on that, you get this document here. Here you go, Race Directors Event Notes version 3, and when you scroll down that list of event notes, you can have a look. Okay, go and have a look, because when you have a look, it helps you learn, you see. And what you get here is Formula 1 race director Michael Massey has given us a picture, because a picture tells 1,000 words. What we have here is a picture of turns 1/2, and we have these yellow bollards here, one circled there. And what his directions are is if you leave the track before this bollard, then you have to rejoin the track by going through these things over here. You have to slalom them. You have to go to the right hand. See these arrows here, right? You have to go to the right of that, and then see these arrows here, you have to go to the left of that. See, it's all like a nice picture. It's nice and easy for everybody to understand, even the ones that aren't that clever. Okay, here's the picture of it. Okay, and if you leave the track before that bollard, you can't just come straight back onto the track. No, that is unsafe, rejoining the track. You have to go down this slip road in the same manner we've just seen Daniel Ricciardo do so. All right, image turns 1 and 2. And then, oh, we've got another image here. Picture tells 1,000 words. Okay. Oh, and it even explains it. Oh, see where you've got these little arrows? You stay to that side of those arrows. There you go, chicken. And then here's another bollard. Okay, you can't rejoin before that bollard. No, see, that's the way these things are. So there's your escape roads, and it will tell you within those notes that what it is you have to do. It'll be back up here somewhere, but I'm sure you'll all go and read that for yourself. Track limits, turns 1 and 2. Any driver, not all drivers though, only any, because we all know that any doesn't mean all, doesn't mean Max Verstappen in this instance. Any driver who fails to negotiate turn 2 by using the track and who passes completely to the right of the first fluorescent yellow bollard on the apex of the corner must keep completely to the right of the fluorescent yellow bollard and rejoin the track by driving through the 2 arrays of blocks in the runoff by passing to the right of the first and to the left of the second. See image 1. So that's the directions from the director. Okay, so and there's the picture that relates to that. Let's have a look what young Max Verstappen did. Now, I bet you that nobody can guess what the steward's decision was with what you're about to just see. Okay, let me know what you think the stewards would have decided in the comment section. I'm not going to give anything away. So the race has just started. You can see the safety car there at the back there. That was lined up at the back of the grid, and they've just raced off from that grid start down to this first corner, lap 1 of 53. And what's going to happen here? Well, it's all excited, everybody. You wait for that commentary that's going to get you really excited.
Towards turn 1 from Hamilton, from Bottas, who just has...
Oh, there's a car that's off the track, and there's the first fluorescent bollard. And if you're to the right of that fluorescent bollard, what must we do? Shall we just check? Let's just check. If you're to the right of that fluorescent bollard, let's just remember what we must do from the race director's directions here. Directions. Any driver who fails to negotiate turn 2 by using the track. So yeah, he's gone around turn 1 and he needs to negotiate turn 2, and he's not on the track. Okay. And who passes completely to the right of the first fluorescent yellow bollard on the apex of the corner must keep completely to the right of the fluorescent yellow bollard and rejoin the track by driving through the 2 arrays of blocks in the runoff by passing to the right of the first and to the left of the second. So if what we're saying here is if you are to the right of that bollard, this one here, yeah, this one here, if you're to the right of that, you've got to head off over here. This perspective's not great, okay, because actually you can cut a diagonal line off. It looks like you've got to completely like veer across here and do that, but it's not actually like that in reality. You've got to come across here and you've got to go to the right of here where the arrows are pointed, and then to the left of here and rejoin the track there. That's the safe way of rejoining the track as directed by the race director. What does Max do? Let's have a look.
Has to back up a bit, and Verstappen goes off the track. And
Verstappen rules. Verstappen rules. John, what's going on here? It's buffering me. It's buffering me. It'll carry on in a minute, I'm sure. Internet. thwarting my attempts to make a slick video. I'm going to have to hit the pause button. First time so far, this video. Well, it's still buffering on me. It's not really having it, but doesn't matter. We'll come out of that anyway. We'll come out of that tab. Doesn't matter that Max didn't get a penalty for that, even though Brundle says it's a heavy penalty. But what you can do, you can go to the season 2021 French Grand Prix documents. You can click on final race classification. And again, I did this earlier. And it's the 2021 French Grand Prix final race classification. Tim Mayer, corrupt FIA official. Eric Barabino, Yannick Dalmas, Jean-Marie Krempf. Don't really know. I've heard of Yannick Dalmas. He would have been a former racer, got a job in the boys' club. You know, but I know Tim Mayer's definitely corrupt. They're the stewards. Anyway, outcome of that event was the final classification. Max Verstappen, the lad that went off at that first corner, second corner, where you've got to rejoin the track in the correct manner, otherwise it's a heavy penalty to pay. And if you don't do that, you're going to get a 5-second penalty that's going to impact your race. Oh, no, nothing to see here, no further action required. But no, fair play to Max. He had no luck all year. He had no luck. He absolutely deserved it, did Max? Absolutely deserved it. He won that race by 2.9 seconds. Absolutely deserved that. 2.9 seconds ahead. Didn't get a 5-second penalty. But he's the one that took home 26 points from that race, and Lewis got just the 18. But Max, he absolutely deserved it. He had no luck all year. Anyway, where were we? Let's go back to the original recording that I took. Well, let me just think while I'm here. Let me just see what else I loaded up for future usage. What's that one there? Race highlights, Singapore Grand Prix. I think you've seen that one. Oh, that one's to come. Here we go. We'll go back to this. Here we go.
Had their first getaway at Sky Race Control. Anthony Davidson's been listening in.
And I listened in to particularly Lando Norris's start, Crofty, which sounded very good to me.
And he'll be hoping that continues. The two previous occasions that Lando Norris has been on pole this season with Max Verstappen alongside him on the front row. Verstappen has led at the end of lap 1. It didn't stop Lando Norris, of course, winning in Zandvoort.
So the two previous times where they started alongside each other, Max Verstappen's been ahead, but that didn't stop Lando from winning in Zandvoort, you know, the Dutch Grand Prix, Max Verstappen's home track. Yeah, that didn't stop Lando winning there.
Aaron say today that even if Lando Norris does get passed on the first lap by Verstappen, that is not the end of the game.
McLaren say that even if Lando gets passed by Max on that first lap, it's not the end of the game. You see, I thought it was, you know. The reason I thought that would be game over if you're not in the lead of that race at the end of the first lap was because I've been conditioned to believe that if you're not in the lead of the race at the end of the first lap, then that's your race chances over. You know, when the sport is trying to vilify a guy and make a guy appear to be desperate, and the reason that he's desperate because if he's not leading the race by the end of the first lap, then he hasn't got a chance of winning that race. Then they do this.
Lewis ran a little bit wide, didn't he, into the apex of the corner.
That's why I asked the question, was there any more room he could have given Max Verstappen? Could he have gone a bit further to the right?
Yeah, I mean, Silverstone 2021, Lewis Hamilton was on the inside and Lewis should have stayed more right. Hungary 2024, Lewis was on the left. Should Lewis have stayed more left? You know, because when he's on the inside, he should go more right. When he's on the outside, he should go more left. It's always Lewis's fault in these situations. That's fine.
This was incredibly
they touched
brave
there as well.
Yeah, it was a punchy first lap. Well, first half lap, wasn't it?
Oh, it's one of them boxing matches again. Not a motor race. It's a punchy boxing match. I thought we went motor racing, Martin.
And I think it needed to be Hamilton desperate to get past.
So
I mean, some of these Grand Prix are like a game of chess, you know, but this one was more like a boxing match, wasn't it?
Because we have still got a race to come once the tyre barrier has been repaired and we can get going. Ted Kravitz, that repair's going to take...
But chess is a longer game, isn't it, rather than a first-round knockout. Chess, you know, is a game of strategy and wearing your opponent down over the duration of the race, attritional, you know, putting them out of position, making them wear their tyres down. Yeah, that would be that, wouldn't it? Tell us, Ted.
A while. Let's head down to you in the pits.
It is, yes, a very noisy pit lane. So 19 cars now lined up in the pit lane. We've got Charles Leclerc in the dip of the pit lane outside the Williams garage at the end. And then it goes all the way down to Sergio Perez at the end. But just as you were watching those replays, so Christian Horner and Adrian Newey, Jonathan Wheatley and everyone on the Red Bull.
Christian Horner, Jonathan Wheatley, Adrian Newey, the three musketeers from Red Bull. Each one of those is corrupt. And where are they now? Oh, Newey, £30 million a year to be at Aston Martin. Wheatley, however million a year to be at Audi. Oh, corruption and being a Charlie uniform November Tango. Oh, that pays, doesn't it? That pays, being a Charlie uniform November Tango.
Pit wall, we're watching them as well. They want to make their mind up, just like you're going to want to make your...
Oh, and if you're Horner, then your company gets the barrister to absolve you of any consequence for any perceived wrongdoing.
Mind up, watching and then watching at home as well. Right next to them, to their left, is the Mercedes pit wall. They'll have their view as well. You could say for Lewis Hamilton, for in order his strategy to work, he needed to lead at the end of lap 1.
Absolutely right. Is it? Was that right? Wait there.
That was the only chance he would have to stop Max Verstappen.
The only chance that Lewis Hamilton would have to stop Max Verstappen was doing what?
Hamilton, for in order his strategy to work, he needed to lead at the end of lap 1. That was the only chance he would have to stop Max Verstappen.
Yeah, you can see how desperate Lewis Hamilton was, and he had to do everything. What? How many laps was the British Grand Prix? But he had to do it on lap 1, otherwise it was race over. Oh, is this what you're painting? Is this the picture you're painting to vilify him, to make him appear to be desperate, and make him appear to be reckless? Really? Really?
Running away with this race. That's why he was...
Yeah, Max would have otherwise run away with the race, wouldn't he? Would he?
So keen to get it.
You know, because the day before in the sprint race, which wasn't that important because back then the points awarded at a sprint race were 3 for winning it, 2 for second and 1 for third. So negligible points haul. And what was that over? 19 laps? 17 laps? And after that duration, Lewis Hamilton came second to Max by a margin of about a second. Oh, which means over a race duration of 53 laps or whatever that is. Yeah, if you can't get by him on lap 1, you've got no chance that race, have you? When tyre wear, pit stops and other factors come into play. Racecraft, being the tyre whisperer. Who's the tyre whisperer? Oh, no, sorry, that's not Lewis. That's not Lewis. That's George, isn't it? George is the tyre whisperer. My mistake.
Done so quickly when in previous races he's been able to have the luxury of taking his time. They decided...
Yeah, other races, Lewis has got the luxury of taking his time. But not this one. Not this one. Lewis had to do it on lap 1, otherwise it was race over in this one. Even though in the sprint the day before, he just he had a few attempts, realised it's not worth the risk. When I'd only get an extra point by overtaking him in this event, then you know what? I'll keep my eggs in the basket rather than throw them all at the wall at the moment and risk being taken out by Max Verstappen and therefore having to start the Grand Prix from the back of the grid and risk not winning the British Grand Prix and missing out on the 25 points available for winning that. That's called pragmatism, maturity. That's called using your brain if you've got one.
Didn't to pit him, by the way, because they could see on the pictures the front wing was essentially intact. We thought they just...
We're just losing you, Ted. Thank you very much indeed. Tom Cruise is talking to Harrison Ford.
That's lovely. Lovely to know that Tom Cruise is talking to Harrison Ford.
The fact is as well that...
And this is a fact, by the way. Crofty is spitting fact.
At this stage of the season, after the dominance that Red Bull have put in the last few races, there's no way Lewis Hamilton is going to back out of potentially the one chance he's...
The one chance, in a 53 lap race, or whatever, how many laps it is, the one chance that Lewis is going to get, he's not going to get back. He's only going to get one chance this race. He had 3 or 4 chances that lap, but he's only got one chance this race.
He's going to have today to try and get past Max Verstappen, because once they get into Maggotts and Beckett's, as we saw in the sprint race yesterday, that Red Bull tends to pull clear. So Hamilton...
He tends to pull clear, and go and have a look at the sprint race the day before and see how much clearer Max was come the end of that sprint race, where Lewis decided it's not worth the effort. The big points are awarded on the Sunday.
He's going to stick at this as long as he possibly can.
Absolutely right, and I think...
Absolutely right, Crofty, says Brundle. He always affirms. You boys in your circle jerk, you always affirm one of... Oh, you're absolutely right there, Crofty. Oh, yes, Crofty's right.
In more recent times, every wheel-to-wheel combat we've seen between the two, Max has come off best.
Yeah, because he's not got penalised for crowding the other car off the track, has he? That's why Max has come off best.
And it's been a bit argy-bargy, for example.
A bit argy-bargy. I thought we were going motor racing, not argy-bargying. What? Does anybody play the sport of argy-bargy? Let's have let me know if you play the sport of argy-bargy. Is that an Argentine sport specific to Argentina? Argy-bargy. And do you have to? Is it a barge-based sport on the canal? Is that what argy-bargy is? I've never played it.
Back in Imola in the rain, and Barcelona down into turn 1. So, and Max was pretty punchy all the way around that first lap.
Oh, we're back to boxing again. Punching.
I think Lewis had made his mind up that the next time they were in that situation, he was going to have to leave his wheels there. And
yeah, Lewis had made his mind up that he was going to try and take Max out. Is that what you're trying to say, Martin? Is that what you're trying to say? Is this your summation of the event?
Play aggressive.
What's interesting is I've had a quick flick.
It was Lewis that was playing aggressive, not Max that was playing aggressive there, Martin.
Through social media, and there is many people...
Oh, we're looking through social media to see what you think in the comments section.
Making the case for Max Verstappen as they are for Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, the strap-on fanboy making the case for Max Verstappen having no concept of what constitutes this sport, because they're being lied to by the commentators of this sport to not educate them properly about what the rules are of this sport.
That one, and it's got you all talking, certainly, on this British Grand Prix Sunday afternoon.
And isn't that great for the sport? It's got you all talking. Oh yeah, cha-ching for the sport. Engagement, that's what we've always sought.
It's the first big clash between two championship protagonists since, remember, Spain, the Barcelona Spanish Grand Prix in 2016.
Yeah, anyway, thanks for your valuable insight, Crofty. Let's go back to the footage that I took. So this is not even... The race hasn't even started yet. How much bullshit do we have to hear?
As long as he survives, they should be okay.
Especially with the extra DRS zone, the 4th DRS, drag reduction system zone, where they can get the rear wing open. And cumulatively, it might well make the difference for overtaking this year.
So in the championship, 313 points. The middle pillar of the Marina Bay Sands Hotel belongs to Max Verstappen. Lando Norris, 59 points behind, and the nearest challenger. After Imola, earlier in the season, the gap was 60 points, but the Red Bull car not performing as well at this stage as it was back in Imola, and there's a real chance you feel that McLaren can continue that momentum.
Why is the Red Bull car not performing as well as it was in Imola? Why has that Red Bull car gone backwards?
Between now and Abu Dhabi.
How come it was Max that put in a brilliant lap, even though the Red Bull car's not performing as well as it did?
As with Monza, Lando's pinned it on the formation lap, and a lot of them, I mean, he's going into turn 16. Joe Guan Yu just coming out of turn 9, so he'll need to back the pack up so he doesn't sit on the front of the grid too long again.
We've been saying all day it feels warmer in Singapore, and the track temperature 37 degrees. That is the hottest the track temperature has been at this time of night. Hotter than FP2 and hotter than qualifying as well.
What does that mean? Does that mean it's grippier? With the temperature brings grip. So actually that's good for the medium compound runners and good for the hard compound runners, isn't it? What does that do if you're a soft compound runner? Oh, well, does that mean you're just going to wear them out even quicker?
That might have a bearing on the tyres and how long they last.
Absolutely right, Crofty.
We wondered if Sergio Perez down in 13th for Red Bull might do a contrary strategy, but he...
Yeah, I mean, down in 13th, you might do a contrary strategy. You know, you might do something a little bit different to see if that gamble can elevate you up the field. You know, you wouldn't do that if you qualified third and were in with a chance of winning just by doing a conventional strategy, would you? Why would you do something that really you know to be a gamble, but it might work? Just something that, you know, has unforeseen happened, and it just might be a gamble that pays off. Yeah, would you do that if you're the third place competitor? Would you do that if you were the fourth place competitor? Well, no. If you're the fourth place competitor, you wouldn't do it, would you? Because they didn't do it, did they? But they did for the third competitor.
Hasn't. He's on the medium compounds as well, so hard compound runner.
Oh, but no. Even in 13th, they didn't go for that strategy as the gamble in 13th. Why would you?
And the first one, Kevin Magnussen in P14. They should be able...
Magnussen, in 14, he's the one that's gone crazy by going on the hard compound of tyres, K-Mag.
To run longer, but we haven't seen a lot of what they call graining or degradation here. The track was high pressure water washed, and it's been yielding some pretty good grip.
So the track already gives some good grip. So, you know, you're already going to get good grip on the mediums. The softs not going to really give you loads more extra, isn't it? So it's not that much of an advantage, and if anything, it's a hindrance because it's going to wear out a lot quicker, meaning you have to pit before everybody else, and when you emerge from the pits, you're going to come out into traffic, and having to negotiate that traffic is going to make you lose race time, isn't it? Yeah, let's not go for that one.
Maybe it's because we've been waiting all day to get going, but there's an air of anticipation and a buzz around Singapore for this race. Sport and live sport under the lights always has that extra pizzazz, that extra spectacle, and between now and the finale...
Keep selling it, keep selling it. What is it, £400 a ticket to go and watch Grand Prix? Oh, it's great. It's great to watch the live sport. And unless, like, the people that you're going there to see are, being nobbled, have no chance of winning it because their team has decided that they don't want them to win it, so are going to put them on a strategy which means that they've got no chance of winning it. That's not what you go there and pay your money for, is it? That's not really what you are paying your money to go and watch the pizzazz of live sport for, is it? There's nothing like that. But then, what's going on there? What you're paying for if you're paying to go and hope that your favourite is going to go and have a chance of winning something, and their own team stops them from doing that? What's that all about?
Abu Dhabi, we've got not one, not two, but three proper night races to come here in Singapore, Qatar, of course, and the lights of Vegas are waiting for us.
Oh, the lights of Vegas. I'm looking forward to that one because in Vegas, they've got, was it the Nevada Gaming Commission, isn't it? These people that regulate and oversee the betting industry, gambling industry, and they won't tolerate things such as race fixing, will they, over in Vegas? Because they've got strict rules. If you try and defraud a casino over in Vegas, rumor has it, you might get found in a shallow grave somewhere in the Nevada desert over there, because those casino owners, they're pretty ruthless, apparently. That's what I've seen in the films, but who knows? Let me know what you think in the comments section. But at least we know when we get to the Vegas Grand Prix, there will be no Mercedes throwing a race, because over there, one of the high rollers might have gambled on Lewis Hamilton winning that race. And if they find out that he's never got a chance of winning that race, they're not going to be happy. And they can then use the people that will take money from them to do their dirty work to carry out their dirty work. Oh, so you wouldn't want to mess with people like that. It's like a mafiosa run style of entity, isn't it? Some of these things. I don't know. I'm just speculating, you know. But Toto, just don't fix it. Don't nobble Lewis in Vegas just in case. I'll just put that out there for your own safety, Toto Wolff. Anyway, let's carry on.
In a few weeks' time, but there is tension in the garages and everywhere you look.
Course looking breathless down there. It's only 177 metres from pole position to...
Only 177 metres from pole position down there. And Lewis Hamilton, well, Max is 8 metres behind Lando. Lewis Hamilton's got to be a further 8 metres behind that. So he's got to make up 16 metres just to get level going into turn 1 over the course of 177 metres. Wow. Wow, that's going to take some doing, isn't it? Making up 16 metres just to get level going into turn 1. And the time that you've got to do that in is just 177 metres. Optimistic, I would suggest.
The first braking point. It's a really short run down to that first corner, which is why then they...
Yes, Martin, absolutely right. It is a really short run.
Tend to be tightly packed when they get there.
And we are almost ready.
And they tend to be tightly packed when we get there. And we've seen incidents which would cause a safety car on lap 1. So the reason that we've started Lewis on his red compound, soft compound tyre is for that early safety car. Because then, when we have this lap 1 incident, then what? Oh, well, we'll pit Lewis under that safety car and put him onto hards for the rest of the race. Because them hards are going to last for the rest of the race, having to nurse those tyres for all that time. Or actually, would anybody bother to pit and try and do effectively hang those hard tyres out for that whole race duration, rather than actually push the medium tyre to the point where you can gain 28 seconds, get a pit stop, and then push again on your new tyres, or having to conserve for the whole race? That's going to be the strategy to go on, isn't it? Tell us, Mercedes, what you think in the comments section.
Just see Daniel Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, Pierre Gasly and the 2 Saubers slotting onto the grid. It's been at least 30 seconds that Lando Norris has been sat waiting in that pole position for everyone to get into their place. But it looks to me like everyone is in their place, and we wait for a green light. Still, the wait continues now. We've got 3, 4, 5 lights on ahead of the driver.
And it's lights out, and away we go.
It's lights down, away we go. That's an excellent start from Lando Norris, and it's a brilliant start too from Lewis Hamilton, but he's not going to cut off Max Verstappen into...
Even with a brilliant start.
Third one as Lando Norris leads from Verstappen. Going wide there is the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. A little bit of a kerfuffle going on down at turn 1, but Norris got away very well from Verstappen, from Hamilton, from Russell and Hulkenberg, who's got ahead of Oscar Piastri. Then comes Fernando Alonso, and then the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, Piastri got dive bombed by Mercedes.
Yeah, he got dive bombed.
And it cost him dearly down into the first corner.
Now we approach a heavy braking zone at turn 7. Down the inside goes Oscar Piastri to snatch back that 5th place from Nico Hulkenberg. And there's a Ferrari going wide, challenging Sergio Perez. It's the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. Perez will try and keep that place, getting held up a little bit behind Yuki Tsunoda. And as we now make the next left-hand turn, he is ahead of Carlos Sainz.
It's exciting, isn't it? It's really exciting. Anyway, what else did I prepare for this presentation here? The bit that I prepared was to be the deliverer of some unfortunate news, and that unfortunate news is which one is it? This one here, the test upload where I'm showing you the footage of what they were showing us in Abu Dhabi for the title narrative. Well, that's now been blocked. You know, it's been blocked as I thought it would on copyright. Luckily, 5,700 of you got the chance of seeing it, but at some point they block it. This show, they'll claim copyright even though there is the notion of fair usage, but they'll utilise the notion of copyright to ensure that I can't reveal to the world with their evidence, with the footage, the evidence of their crime. Yeah, that's the way this is working, isn't it? So the other thing that you need to be aware of is the last couple of videos. In fact, about 12 videos that I've put out recently, I'm having issues with, and you'll notice with the adverts. So the last couple of videos put out yesterday, one has got up to 21,000 views, the other one just 2,000 views. Now at the moment it's got here monetization on, all right, but that wasn't how it started out. That wasn't how it started out. The way it started out was, let's have a look here, was this. You upload it and you get the red light checks. Ad suitability. This video may earn limited or no ad revenue due to content identified as not suitable for most advertisers. You see, most of the advertisers on YouTube apparently don't like their brand being associated with the truth. Okay, they're quite happy for their brand to be associated with fraud and contrivance and narrative. You know, the sort of thing that you'll get when you listen to Sky Sports. You know, that then they produce ad friendly content, no doubt. But you know, mine, the truth, the advertisers want to distance themselves from that. Quite happy to be associated with the mind conditioning narrative. Quite happy to be associated with propaganda, but maybe it's not suitable for most advertisers, the truth. And that's that screenshot of the upload of Hamilton Sabotaged Again that got it's up to 21,000 views, but for maybe what, 18,000 of that? No ad revenue. Oh, thanks for that. YouTube have now done their checks and have determined it to be okay after it's had most of the views it'll ever get. So what do I do in this regard? Well, what I do is oh, that's them silencing me. What I do, so checks here. There's a request review. Okay, so the request review option is, you'll see on the right hand side of the screen. So I press on that and it says review requested, but that can take up to 7 days. And then you go on to the next screen, which is the visibility screen. And when you hit publish, you then get this message and it says issues found. Your video's visibility and monetization may be restricted. So we're not going to show it anybody. We're not going to recommend it to anybody. Review and resolve any issue before publishing to maximize your potential revenue. So I've got the option of clicking review issues or publish, so I just hit publish. I'm not going to be dictated to by YouTube as to when I upload my videos or what is going to be allowed to be in those videos that's going to enable it to earn money. Maybe that's how they get YouTubers to comply with their narrative. You cut off the supply of money, you cut off their lifeblood, so they all end up saying the same thing. Who knows? Who knows? But if that's the way it's going to be, well, that's the way it will be. But that is one of the dynamics that is in play. Okay, so some of the videos they aren't going to get seen, they're not going to get recommended to people. So if you can assist in this process by you being the people that recommend the videos to people, then I would appreciate it. That way, at least the contents of this will get spread, and eventually it will work. And the reason being, I mean, I've produced loads of videos. What are we up to now? 481 maybe. That's what it says on this screen. Might be a bit more than that. And we've got videos that have got views down in the hundreds. And for example, this video here, This video here, it got to about 3,000 and, you know, died a death, as many of them do. Many of them get less than 3,000 views and then they die a death. But then something sparked this one into life and people started sharing it, and we're now up to 70,000 views. And a lot more people are having their eyes opened as to the truth of the situation. And that's all that needs to happen. Okay? All that needs to happen is, over time, some of these videos that are being produced and that are now on the internet, at some point, people will start seeing them, and all it's going to take is something to catch fire. And then people will finally wake up. So if you can, please assist in sharing the content. YouTube are going to do what they can to prevent the content being exposed to that many people. I mean, what else would they do? Their parent company ultimately is owned by BlackRock and Vanguard. You know, these big banking companies, these big money asset managing companies, right? And they're also invested in the sport of Formula One and Liberty Media, the corrupt entities perpetrating the crimes that I'm exposing. So if those corrupt entities get devalued, then it hits BlackRock and Vanguard. So they don't want them entities to be devalued. So they use their interest in the media to make sure the media doesn't expose the corruption in the other things that they own. So they control the narrative. This is the dynamics of the world that we're living in. The narrative is being controlled by the big money interests. They know that corruption is taking place. They are making money out of it, and they're using the control of the media to make sure that the actual truth about the situation is being suppressed. And they have their control of people because people want money. Funny that, because you need money to live. And so those people that maybe become YouTubers go chasing the money, comply with the narrative so that they get the money. And think about that. Everybody in this show is doing that, isn't it? Nobody has stood up and said this is wrong. They're all happy to take the money and comply with the narrative. Sad fact of the world that we're living in at the moment. But what it enables is corruption. And ultimately, there's going to be times in your life where you're the victim of something. And these are dynamics that enable all of that. So we need to assess what the true values we need to live our lives are by. And what kind of world do you want you yourself to live in and your kids and grandkids to grow up in? Do you want them to have a fair chance? Or do you want their lives to be always tainted by these dynamics? Anyway, that'll do on this one. Thank you very much for your time. And please like, subscribe and share as always. Once again, thank you.